Hey, hi everyone. Welcome on Puppet Podcast on the road. I'm Caroline Bernier-Dionne, CaroBD, and I'm now in Tampa for another show. And tonight I want to present you one of a new friend I made when I was touring, and she was based in Syracuse with the OpenHand Theater. And I'm really happy because I get the chance. That's part of my objective to go to meet other puppeteers during my trip, during my tour. So I met her, and I'm really happy to present her work to you. And she's Caitlin Friedberg, and I make her enter in the screen right now. Hey, hi, Caitlin.
Hello.
So thank you to accept this offer and to be part of the Puppet Podcast on the road.
Absolutely. It's really fun to be able to talk to a fellow puppeteer too and get different ideas of everything. So
Yeah, totally. And that's the purpose of this podcast, is to share our passion and make others know about it. You have like many people who don't know what is puppetry and have like kind of a viewpoint, but we can make this viewpoint grow and grow. Let's see. So my first question for you, Caitlin, is what makes the art of puppetry an art that you cherish?
So for me, I'm a storyteller right down to my core. So the best thing about puppets is that puppets they're such a wonderful medium because there's so many different things you can do and so many different ways to handle them that they just enrich the story. And they make me a better storyteller because I not only have to come up with how I'm going to tell the story, but how I'm going to tell the story through this creature.
Yes.
So I love the challenge of that.
That's cool. And could you say that storytelling was part of your primer way of expression?
Oh yeah, I back before I could even really put right words in like good sentences, I was telling stories all the time. So that's definitely where I started.
Yeah. So how and when did your crush for puppetry happen? When you fall in love with this art?
So I started about 10 years ago as an apprentice for OpenHand. And one of the first big projects we took on as apprentices was we made our own rod marionettes. And I based mine off, I do need to say loosely, based the design off of my grandfather. So once I got that personal connection, watching it shape and figuring out all of its movements and getting it to work, it just hit me like, wow, this is amazing. And it just made the process even more special. And so now I take that and I put something unique into each puppet so that it's every time I see it, it's like, oh, it's you. Even if it's just you. So, but yeah, back about 10 years ago was when I really started crushing on puppetry.
What was the character?
His name is Devin, and I don't have him here, but he's got a very, very long snout. And he looks kind of like a goblin, and he's only got 7 fingers on either hand because my grandfather was missing fingers. So he's got 3 on one, 4 on another. And then my grandfather was also the 2 big things I knew about I always like poignantly see in my brain is his nose and his ears. That's why I say loosely. Because my grandfather didn't look like an elf.
That's amazing. So, in your opinion, what would be the best field of study or background as a puppeteer? Do you feel it's acting, set design, props designer? Like, what you believe in that?
I think, well, I have 2 answers for that one. Because I know for me, I started acting because that was a thing in school. I mean, puppets really wasn't a thing for me as a kid, except watching Sesame Street. I didn't really know that I could do it myself. So when I started learning how to work with puppets, I was able to just kind of jump into it because I had that experience. But then I also growing up, getting into college, I got into building things and making props. So then when it came to building the props, building the puppets, I was a little bit more comfortable. So I think it kind of depends on if you're more outgoing and like to be right in the moment, or if you're a little bit more introverted and you'd rather be behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. So you will mean that puppetry could be both personality could enjoy this art.
Oh yeah.
Totally. I agree because I have like some fellow who are really outgoing and other more into their room doing their puppet, and for sure both have really incredible talents. I agree with you totally.
Yeah, working with kids, that's where I really see it. Because I've got some kids that are just like, yeah, I totally got this. Put me in there. I'm ready to go. And there's other kids who are like, I'm going to help you build that. I'm going to just watch. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. You're still part of it. You're still engaged.
Yeah. And for you, what is the difference? Because often we have to explain, like object theater, the difference between the object and the props and the puppet. Like for you, how you explain it, like to kids or to a fellow who don't know anything about puppeteering?
Well, it's interesting because you can turn anything into a puppet depending on how committed you are in the moment and into that. I mean, I've seen in one of the shows we did, the actor actually he took an orange and an apple, and they had a conversation, and after about 2 seconds of that started, you forgot that he was talking with fruit. You thought he had two old men in his hands. But I mean, for me, with the biggest difference is that the puppets take on a personality. They kind of suck in everything that's going around them. And so when you work with them, even if you're watching somebody else work with them, you can see there's kind of a connection. Whereas like with a prop, you don't really get a connection with a water bottle. You just, you put it back down and you move on.
Yeah, totally. That's a good way to explain with the connection. And do you think like puppeteering, like the puppetry art is in an ascension, or it's becoming less popular?
I think it's starting to get more popular. It's, especially hand puppets I'm seeing is getting, and ventriloquy. And I think that's got to do with some of the reality shows right now. There's a lot of ventriloquists out there. So they're kind of open doors. But I think like big puppets I've seen kind of starting to go away. But the little stuff, it's getting more popular.
Good. That's observation. And I think from different area, depends of where we are in the world or in America, we can observe different like involvement into this art. Because I met you and we talk about the UNIMA, like we talk about this association of puppeteer who is international, and something with this, as you're talking about connection, is really interesting in terms of like connecting the puppeteer. So do you think like this kind of association could make puppetry art grow, or depends, because it could be just connection between practitioner instead of going to get into more public? What do you think about this union that I introduced to you?
Yeah, I think, I mean, anytime that you can get a bunch of people who are of the same mind together and then like all over, I think is always better.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know I was super excited and I was like, oh, good. There's more people than just those that I talk to in Syracuse. Because there's actually not a whole lot of them around where I am. So.
Yes. So I will talk to you more about that, and maybe we can build another group around you. And also, what is your biggest purpose? It's about my last question. It's like something more into your vibe. Your biggest purpose as a puppeteer, like what you want to do as a goal? Is it to write the best storytelling with puppetry, or to play in front of a big audience, or do you have like a specific purpose on this?
That's kind of changed throughout my experiences. Like, if you'd asked me that question 10 years ago, it would have been like, oh yeah, to play to a huge audience, and everybody's so excited for my performance with all of that. But and then I would say within the last couple of years, my big purpose as a puppeteer is just to pass on that anybody can do it if you're willing to put in the time and make yourself vulnerable. Because you can enrich any experience, you can tell any story if you're just willing to put it out there. And I mean, when you're with a puppet, you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. You can storytell with this person also. That's good.
Yeah.
And what do you have like a funny piece of work you want to share to us? Or I know I conclude often with something spontaneous.
So I've got this little guy.
Oh yeah, that's the one you were building when I met you. Or
Yes.
There.
He's fully formed now. He has a name now. He's Vincent. When you met him, he wasn't named yet.
and Vincent is for Halloween. I feel this teeth.
Oh, you broke up. I'm sorry.
Oh, I think it's an Halloween character, or it could.
Yes, he is he's a vampire. He's an 8-year-old vampire who wears his pajamas under his pants so he doesn't get cold.
And could you say that you have influence when you build that kind of puppet? Like you are influenced by like Avenue Q or other performers, or?
Well, I mean, Jim Henson is a big one for me. I've actually, a magazine just came out on him that I've been looking into. And with this guy specifically, I was actually trying to kind of play off of like Elmo. kind of play with a character that's that cute and funny and just easy to relate to, because there's something about him that you love, whether you're 8 or you're 80. So I decided to throw that into him. But also the big thing with Vincent was that I was making coffins for a performance at one of our schools, and the kids would pop out of coffins, and we had a demo. So I was like, oh, I'm going to make a coffin that Vincent can go into. And he was born.
So to conclude, could you make him like do a big laugh or something for Halloween for the people who listen to us?
Happy Halloween!
Thank you very much, Caitlin, to accept this sharing moment. And I hope to see you in the future in other puppetry activity. So, absolutely. And if you want to come to Montreal also, we have plenty of activities. So I will talk to you more during the way on this. So thank you for this time, for your time. And I wish you the best for your project with OpenHand.
Great, you too.
See you.